Bonjour and welcome to today's French lesson with me, Jennifer, your French teacher in the south of France. So today we're going to talk about how to use some different forms of negation. If you've already learned how to use negation, you've probably learned ne pas, perhaps ne jamais, ne rien, and those are all really useful. And today I'm going to teach you some more, maybe some that are less familiar to you. I'm going to give you a whole list of 12. So as usual, like I've been doing for the last few lessons, I've created a Quizlet study set just for you so that you can practice and master everything that you learned today in this lesson. If you want to join my YouTube French class on Quizlet, all you have to do is follow the link that you see in the description to this video. Okay, d'accord? So go ahead, do that. It's free. It's just a little something extra that I like to do for you, and people seem to like it, so that's cool. It's a win-win situation. All right, so in this lesson today, we're going to talk about how to use negation in the present tense and also in the past tense, in the passé composé. We're going to even have a few examples where we have pronouns with the negation, all right? So you can learn where to put the ne and the pas or the ne jamais or whatever. All right, so here we go. Let's get right to it. I'm going to write all of these examples down at the bottom of the screen for you en français et en anglais. Allez, on y va. We'll start with the very basic negation, ne pas. Je ne regarde pas la télévision. Je ne regarde pas la télévision. So you notice and you'll see for all forms of negation, the placement is the same. The ne comes before the verb and the pas comes after it. This is in the present tense. Something I should point out right now for you is that when you're writing French and when you're speaking French, it's not always done in the same way. So when you're writing, it's always proper to put in the ne. But when you hear people speak, they leave the ne out, right? So you would hear something like, je regarde pas la télévision, right? So if you say, well, where did the ne go? It's just something that's something about spoken French, and not everyone does it. You don't have to do it, but most people do, leave the ne out. All right, here's your second example. Tu ne danses jamais le tango. Tu ne danses jamais le tango. So that is ne jamais, and it means never. Allez. Il n'a aucune envie de vendre sa voiture. Il n'a aucune envie de vendre sa voiture. So this is ne aucun or aucune. This case, I put the E and I made it aucune. And do you know why? It's because envie is a feminine noun, right? Il n'a aucune envie. An example with a masculine noun would be il n'y a aucun problème. Il n'y a aucun problème. Because problème, again, problème is a masculine noun. Allez, on y va. Elle ne dit rien en classe. Elle ne dit rien en classe. On ne parle à personne. On ne parle à personne. All right? So, on ne parle à personne. Why is the a in there? Because sometimes it's those little prepositions that can throw people off. Why is it a? Why is it there? Why isn't it de? All right? So, it's because parler, when you're wanting to say that someone is speaking to someone else, or in this case, to nobody, personne, you have to follow parler with a. All right? So, that's the reason why the a is there. Something to point out now, we're talking about ne personne, and that means no one or nobody. But what if you want no one or nobody to be the subject of that sentence? There's a little tricky something that happens here. You can use personne, nobody, as the subject of the sentence, but watch what happens. Personne ne nous parle. Personne ne nous parle. And that just looks backwards, I'm sure. It does look backwards. It is kind of backwards. You take personne, you'll use it as the subject, and then you follow it with ne. So this is the only form of negation that you do that with. Personne ne nous parle. You notice there, nous, that is an indirect object pronoun, right? because no one talks to us. The us is the nous. The nous comes before the verb, as usual, and your ne will come before the pronoun. So that's something that's always going to be true. We'll have a few more examples where we're using pronouns, but the ne always is going to come before the pronoun. Because when you have a pronoun in a sentence, it can never be separated from the verb that it's directly attached to. So in the present tense, that's just your main verb of the sentence. D'accord? Allez. Nous ne nous voyons plus. Nous ne nous voyons plus. Ne plus means anymore. Nous voyons. We see each other. Nous ne nous voyons pas. We don't see each other. Nous ne nous voyons plus. We don't see each other anymore. D'accord? Here's a fun one, and it's also a little bit different because there's actually 3 parts to it. It's ne, ni, ni. And this is how you say neither nor. So here's your example. Vous ne savez ni chanter ni danser. Vous ne savez ni chanter ni danser. So you've got to get those 3 parts in there to say neither nor. That's pretty cool. I like the ne, ni, ni. All right. Ils ne s'entendent pas du tout. That's the verb s'entendre, right? So it's a pronominal verb. You have to have a pronoun in there. Ils ne s'entendent pas du tout. The verb s'entendre means to get along with each other. Ils ne s'entendent pas du tout. So you have pas, that's your regular form of negation, and then when we add the du tout to it, it just means not at all. D'accord? Elles ne sont pas encore arrivées. Elles ne sont pas encore arrivées. This one is in the passé composé. So you notice when you're in the passé composé, your negation is going to actually go around the auxiliary verb or the helping verb. In this case, since we're talking about the verb arriver, your helping verb is être, right? So elles ne sont pas encore arrivées. They've not yet arrived. Here's one that's probably new to a lot of you. Tu n'as guère le choix. Tu n'as guère le choix. So the negation is ne guère, and it means hardly or barely. Tu n'as guère le choix. Ma sœur ne vient pas toujours pour Noël. Ma sœur ne vient pas toujours pour Noël. Pas toujours, not always. Just like what you would think it means. Voilà, okay? And the last one. Mon frère n'a que 2 chats. Mon frère n'a que 2 chats. So have you ever seen the ne que? This is a very, very French way of saying only. And many Anglophones, like me, when you're learning, you look up in the dictionary, how do you say only? And what's the word that you find? I bet you know. Seulement. So seulement does mean only, but it's much, much more French to use this negative expression ne que. D'accord? Donc mon frère n'a que 2 chats. Je n'ai que 5 minutes. You see, I only have 5 minutes. Voilà. All right, so something else that I just want to point out to you, and then we'll be done with this short and sweet lesson. When you're dealing with negation, and you have a word, a noun that comes after the negation, and it's normally preceded by un or une or any form of de, like des, du, de la. There's a funny thing that happens only after negation. That un, une, du, de la, or des is going to actually change, and it's going to become de. Just plain regular de, de. Or if it's followed by a word that starts with a vowel, that de has to change to d apostrophe. Don't forget about that. And so here's just an example. Tu as une voiture rouge? Est-ce que tu as une voiture rouge? Do you have a red car? And if I tell you no, I don't. Non, je n'ai pas de voiture rouge. J'ai pas de voiture rouge. So when I say it a little fast, you see I leave the ne out. J'ai pas de voiture rouge. And the de, it just kind of sounds like a d. Je n'ai pas de voiture rouge. Pas de voiture rouge. All right, so that's just a little something to work on with the pronunciation. All right, voilà. I hope that this lesson has been helpful to you. And as always, if you're interested in contacting me to take some Skype lessons with me directly, then you can visit my website. So I put the link right here at the bottom of the screen for you. And I'll see you again real soon. À très bientôt. Merci à tous. Au revoir.